is the Osler Peer Guidance Group. We take appointments. You can come in, ask for free advice, whether it be IP, strategy, business, anything. Every Tuesday, come on down. Also, we have the Startup TNT Investment Summit. The deadline is April 15th. And we will be accepting investors. We will be accepting all different types of companies. So apply, get in there. We're excited about it. You know, we've handed out almost $13 million to over 100 companies. But what we are here today to talk about is chocolate. And who loves chocolate? Put up your hands. I love me some chocolate. And Eva, how are you today?
Things are good. The sun's shining after that crazy episode of did you get the hail yesterday?
We didn't get the hail, but we had really big snowflakes.
Okay. Yeah, my kids were very confused, and apparently all of my trees are too. But things are much better today because it's so beautiful out.
Well, you know what? Isn't that the truth, right? Like I was sitting out there going, oh my God, it was so nice today. And then all of a sudden, like, oh man, like, come on. Like, I'm ready to get outside, play ball. The girls want to play ball. I want to play ball. Like, let's go. I'm done with this already. Even though I know we didn't have winter until basically January. So, but it's still not the point.
Well, it didn't stop my kids from hopping on their bikes, right? Like, we're going. Bye.
We're gone. We're gone. Isn't that there's no stopping kids on bikes. That's for sure. That's what I love about it.
Absolutely.
So I am excited. I mean, I love founding stories. And again, I love chocolate. I am a chocoholic. I really am excited about how you founded the story. And we'll talk about, getting into, business with your husband and things along those lines. But please share how you founded it and found your passion for chocolate.
So I'm a child of immigrants. So the reality is that I never had really good quality chocolate until into my deep 30s. And so my husband is not a candy guy, but he's a chocolate guy. And back in the day, like, I don't metabolize alcohol very well, so I don't drink. And so when we would go out on dates, like, there's not a whole lot to do if you're not imbibing. So one of the things that we used to do is we run across the street, hand in hand. We'd march ourselves to a certain Belgian chocolatier here in town. You get a copper Ballatin box and you just pig out and have a great night. And then the next weekend, it's like lather, rinse, repeat. But that began my love affair with fine quality chocolate here in Calgary. Did you want to hear the founding story of the chocolate?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Okay. They're the best stories.
Yeah. And as I always, whenever I tell this story, it's like all good stories start from a place of pain. So I was on mat leave with my third working in corporate for an operating mine as a geomodeler. And so my background is clearly in engineering and geology. But when I went to go reapply to return to my desk, my job didn't exist for me and I was given my pink slip. So I had a big identity crisis because everything that I had worked for at that point was all about, my career, the letters after my name, and who was I without the title, the salary, etc. And at the time, Dallas was at home with, all the kids. And he's just like, I'm going to go and take a chocolatiering course. How do you feel about this? I was like, one of us should be happy. At least I get to eat outtakes. I'm so pumped, right? And so then he began his course, and then he got an internship with a certain Belgian chocolatier in town. And then within a very short amount of time, he's like, I'm quitting. I'm like, you're what? He's like, I don't want to make chocolates that have already been made before over and over and over again. There's a trend, it's happening, and I think that I can champion this. How can you help, right? How can I help? I'm like, well, I don't know anything about running a business, and I'm not an entrepreneur. And he's just like, well, what were your budgets like in corporate? I'm like, well, after drilling and lab programs and all this other stuff, like, south of 250 million, I think I might be able to help you with your chocolate shop. But, and then it began, 3 kids in tow and a bunch of chaos. And we're like, okay, let's rock, paper, scissors this, you're going to we're working in the back. Like, what days of the week are we going to be open? Because we have people to raise. And then began all the chaos of like managing priorities, kids versus business versus your relationship, the mindset that you have to have. And every day was a struggle in the beginning because I didn't have the right mindset. But once I took accountability for my part and all the catastrophes that were happening and not putting the blame on Dallas because it was his business, it was mine too. And so once we figured out, like, oh, instead of pointing out all the problems, being kind of a jerk about it, I can actually, get the gloves out and freaking help do some heavy lifting. And once that kind of began, then came all the rest. And so then, we got this extraordinary little invite by Insider Desserts around Easter in our first year, like our second year of business. Like, so, actually it was like, a year and a half in. And we weren't open on Mondays, but on the Tuesday, I came around the corner on Center Street and, to open the door, the gate of our shop. And there was for the first time a lineup around the corner. And then it turned into, I need help. Like, I can't do this alone. We need staff. And then, and so it began. And that was the beginning of the Chocolate Lab.
Wow, I mean, that's always something. You never know how it's gonna start, and and
No.
how it goes, right?
You have no experience. You have no life references to kind of go by. So everything that happens is like this uber emergency, and it's a level 14 fire. And after a while, it's like everything's a level 14 fire. I can take it down a bit.
Well, and I mean, that's like most founding story. I mean, obviously different industry, but most people don't. They've never done it before. They've got this idea, they see a problem or whatever it may be, and then they jump in, and you have to figure it out. I'm guessing that there probably would have been even some more challenges, as you said, with your partner, and then you've got a family, and I guess, how do you, we've talked about this. I had Dan McKinnon on a long time ago talking, and he talks about, and he's a psychologist, obviously, and a business owner, that talks about separating the dinner table from the boardroom table. So how do you do that? How do you work, your family and your business into the same conversation?
I know that when we're fighting, it's because we don't connect enough, right? If I'm short with him and I'm grouchy and I'm snippy and my temper is short, it's because we're not communicating effectively. So at that point, our kids get off school around 3 or 4, and then, I do the drop-offs, Dallas does the pickups. But it's the division of labor, assessing the priorities, and constantly being flexible enough to know that when you show up and I'm sick, I have nothing in the tank. Out of 100, I might be a 2.5. Like, can you pick up 97.5% today? Because I am not capable. And then it turns into no, I can't. Or yeah, I can. It's like, okay, if we can't, then what do we do? It's like, I guess we're ordering in. We might pull the kids from school because no one can do the pickups or no one can do the drop-offs, or, you just kind of have to bend.
Yeah.
But one of the rules that we have is there is a time, like 9 p.m., like when the kids go to bed, we don't talk about work, right? And usually once the kids go to bed, that's when everything kind of comes up. It's like, no, we're going to talk about other things outside of the business. Like, so what's happening tomorrow? Or do we have a dinner plan? Do we have enough groceries? Who's going to do the run today? Okay, those types of things. But these were, Dallas and I had been together before kids for 5 or 6 years, and in our respective careers we're just constantly lamenting. And we had a rule, finally: you can't talk about rocks at the dinner table, and I can't talk about whatever his projects were, because he was a creative and he did a lot of work for curling and web development and stuff. It's like, yeah, no rocks, we're good. Then we move on. But having rules firmly held but loosely kind of rewritten, I think that's really important for us.
I agree. And I mean, and it's, like I said, it's so different, especially when you are, obviously have a family, and it's a family business, and it is something. So I think that's a great rule. 9 o'clock, no talking about it. I mean, and most of my career has been in family business as well. And I mean, I've been there where dads and sons, well, we'll just say the dad was telling the son a few things walking down the streets of New York. And I'm just like, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around. Don't get in on this. Don't put your 2 cents in, shut your mouth. And again, it's sometimes it's difficult. Like, it's very, very difficult to actually do that, because even at 9 o'clock, you might just say, oh my God, I might want to say something, but I'll wait till tomorrow.
There is no emergency at 9 p.m. No babies are dying, nothing's on fire. Everything can wait.
Everything,
Everything can wait.
can wait.
Everything can wait.
Again, I'm talking with Eva, the founder of the Chocolate Lab. ChocolateLab.ca is their website. You can click on it in the comment section. It'll take you directly there. So let's talk a little bit about the business itself. I mean, obviously, it didn't, get to where it is. I would love to hear some of your, your early stage, some of your struggles, some of the, obviously, bootstrapping and trying to sell and figuring things out as you go, because it doesn't matter if you're a brick and mortar company, a Karma camper van company, or a chocolate company. Everybody has the same problems, the same business, just different industries. So I would love to hear some of the things that you did to overcome success, to grow your company and bang on those sales.
Well, for Dallas and I, both of us, as much as we love being social and we love being out there, and most of our customers know us personally,
Yeah.
the reality is that both of us love being behind the scenes, love being behind the camera. We're not really big on being in front of the camera, especially when you have a young staff who loves all that stuff anyway. It's just way easier to put them in front of the camera, and it's just easier to do all the stuff behind the scenes. Way back in the early days, I think the hardest part was how are we going to find a place? We have $0. We've not started, we're going to start a brick and mortar, but we need a production space. Where do you go? Well, first place we go is Kijiji. That's not exactly the most, professional places to source your commercial real estate. But we ended up, meeting this really cool guy. He had this building in Chinatown and he wasn't Chinese. And so, but the unit was refurbed in a way that it was power was upgraded into code, plumbing was upgraded into code. So I was okay, let's go. I think we went to Airdrie. There was this sweet little lady who had not an automatic tempering machine, but a wheel machine. We picked it up for $1,200, and then it began, right? You're online, you're ordering equipment, and you're online ordering supplies. We didn't even know there were distributors that, sold volumes of ingredients. We were literally going in totally ignorant and so blind. But then, the more you learn, the more you apply and the more you adjust. And then, I think the hardest part for me was not self-flagellating for not making the right decision out of the gate. And and so we were in Chinatown for almost 4 years. And then when COVID hit, we realized we can't add more equipment. We can't add more staff. We can't add more people to come in the door. What are we going to do to safely space, away from each other for distance? And so that was when we made the executive decision to go to a factory location that's not in the heart of downtown because we couldn't afford it, but also for the fact that, delivery was hot, shipping was a big deal. And then if people would just call us and, hey, I ordered online, can you put this in my car? We can do that for you. And so then started a completely different business model because the high touch sales weren't high touch anymore. And then you had to have a more marketing focus. And thank God for the accelerators and the support that you have through all the different folks through Platform Calgary, through, all the stuff that, the city offers, right? And so, I got to take a sales course, I got to take a marketing course and just have a real understanding. Oh, that's not what I'm doing at all. I just kind of fell into the deep end and I managed to tread water for a bit and not drown. Oh, you're going to strap an anvil to my back. Okay, I can still tread water. And then, it's just lather, rinse, repeat. The anvil gets heavier and that you're carrying in the water, but you just get better. The stress doesn't go away.
No, the stress never goes. It doesn't matter what level you get at. It's just a different stress.
I'm finding in general, as entrepreneurs, I think we all develop, the wide shoulders to carry the load. I think the biggest lesson in the last year or two is when to put down the load.
Well, isn't that the truth, right? And I mean, you brought up a very good point, and I think we talk about this every week. Is Alberta has such a great ecosystem. Whether it be, as you said, the city has a lot of great courses out there that are free. Platform Calgary, it is the support, it is the heart. And yes, you don't have to be a tech company to go there to get the support, to go through a Catalyzer, Velocity, or a discovery program that they have, and that is so important. And then all the other people that are out there that are just willing to share their knowledge, or even how we met. I mean, literally we met through Simon Raven, and Simon and I know each other through the digital assets crypto world. And he's like, oh, you know what? You should meet Eva. And here we are on Center Street going for lunch, right? Like, you just never know who, people ask. And once you put yourself out there and not be scared to be a little bit vulnerable, someone will be saying, hey, you know what? I know somebody that can help you. And that is so important in our community.
I think that as new entrepreneurs, we feel that we have to look like we have it all together, and that you're not struggling and everything's just perfect and fine. And then at night you cry yourself to sleep, or you're blinking because you're thinking about all the problems that await for you in the morning. And the thing is, if you're not willing to share those pieces of like what's going wrong, I just find that you're more apt to just be sad or short or not be the best version of yourself the next day. But if you're able to find a group of people that you can be like totally transparent with, then you're able to actually actualize on solutions, right?
Yeah.
As an engineer, it's like, okay, I've got a million problems. How do I fix them all? Right? It doesn't matter if you've labeled all the problems. How do you get around to finding a solution? And if you're solution based instead of, problem listy, then wow, life is so much better when you have action plans and are able to have results rather than just complain.
And that's one thing that like I've noticed, since diving in 9-ish or so years ago, and even more so recently when we launched with Collectively Tangled, our mental health program for Summit, which for entrepreneurs, which I'm hoping to expand here in the next little bit. But if you stuck a bunch of people in a room, just random people, grabbed 20 of them in a mall and said, share all your issues and problems and struggles, it's not going to happen. When you stick 20, 25, 30 entrepreneurs into a room that know that they're coming there, and everybody in there is asking for help, needs help, and is struggling with something, I saw everybody open up right away. And it was really eye-opening for me to sit there and go, wow, like there's a lot of people out there that need help, didn't know where to turn to. And just having something that they can go to once a month to meet like-minded people and talk about it, and see all the other people that are going through issues, maybe not the same issues, but like issues of growing a business.
Yeah. And the thing is, every entrepreneur has a different set of struggles, right?
Oh,
We all have strengths. We all have vulnerabilities. We all have parents. We all have, some of us have kids. But the reality is, if you have a mom, then chances are very likely that you're keeping your therapist in good business.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm seeing my therapist next week, right? Like, I mean, it's something that's important, for myself and my mental health and the way I go. But also, making sure that I have a good support group and good, close network. I mean, I'm lucky to have, three other people on our team that are always there for me, and we're all mental health advocates. So, you need that group, you need those people to reach out to.
And being able to say, like, I'm struggling today and I'm not coming
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not coming in. Have you got me? Like, that has been the most like transformative portion of the business, to be able to be like, not only do I have them when they're having a bad day, I know they've got me.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
business doesn't stop just because I'm having a rough day, week, month, year, right?
No.
It all moves on. You can't hit the pause button. There have been many times I wish we could hit the pause button, right? I just need a minute. I need to pull myself together. And then, life marches on. So it doesn't matter how prepared you are.
Well, speaking of marching on, like you ended up, like you said, after COVID, you figured you had to go find a spot to have a bigger facility. Obviously that adds, more stress, more finances, more things. You opened up a shop on Stephen Avenue. In my opinion, you have the most beautiful displayed chocolates that I have ever seen. I had to stop. I had to, stop the girls just for, eating all of them for just to just give me a second. I need a photo. Like I have to keep their hand. Come on, get away. But I mean, so I want to hear a little bit about, opening up on Stephen Avenue, how that has gone. How have you grown sales? Who are you selling to? And then we'll kind of, go from there.
Well, in the beginning of a business, you have like, 5 SKUs and you're trying to grow, right?
Yeah.
So, we're doing bonbons, and that seems to be our kind of main thing, just for the fact that we've won a pile of international chocolate awards in bonbons, in bonbon categories. what was weird about this whole experience is once you figure out what the back end is of all these like, international chocolate awards, there's all these secrets and all these weird things that happen. And you're just like, oh, I no longer want to be a part. And that's just a personal thing. So we started that way and we, okay, but if I won a gold award for this water bottle and I won, like, this is the best water bottle thing in the world, the next year I can submit this exact same water bottle and win another gold medal. And I'm just like, oh, is that how it works? So someone who has 25 awards might not be 25 individual awards for all their different achievements. It might be one achievement entered over and over again. So that was one of the things that made us like, oh, that's what we're buying into. I don't know how I feel about that yet, because it's not transparent and there's something ethically that just doesn't vibe with us and our teams. And so we decided that we were going to go specifically for things that, made us feel really good. So one of the things was our packaging design. And so I don't know if I think I've got a box here. This is our new Calgary box. And when you open the box itself, like, it's got all these, I've got one here. It's got a bunch of candy cups in it, but it's got like, all these things in it. Like, it's a nerd dream, right? So we work with our packaging people, and they're local here in Calgary, and they're fantastic, and they work with us, and they come with all these ideas, and like then we're winning awards based on structure. And then when you turn around, you get an email like, hey, I'd like to sell you some boxes. Would you like 30,000 units? And it's your box with your brand design on it. It's heartbreaking. It just makes you want to evolve faster. So then we knew we were kind of onto something, right? But, when people come in, they're really, really focused on the bonbons. But now, like, we're kind of, 8 years in, and it's like, I love pretty bonbons. They're so beautiful and they're so much fun to eat. But if I'm in my pajamas, like, and my hair is in a ponytail and I'm at home watching Netflix on a Saturday night, I'm not eating pretty bonbons. I'm eating chocolate bars. I'm eating the stuff that's in a bag so I can hit bottom on it. Those are the things that make me feel good. But going from, 5 different SKUs like bonbons, like when we look back at the photos, it's like, oh my gosh, that showcase is empty. Like you could hear it echo in the photo, right? And then it's to the point where we have so many SKUs. It's like, okay, let's kind of gear this down to the top, like 20, 30, like bonbon flavors aside, like what are the other things that will go? So when we look at, initially, when your ideal customer profile is, a certain kind of way, you're aiming for this, but then you realize it's actually capturing a bigger demographic and number of people than you thought. Then you kind of realize like, okay, then I have to cater to actually a range of folks, because if I'm targeting, say, a 35-year-old woman who has disposable income, this person may or may not have children. And that changes the entire game of when you come in, like, what do you need? Well, if I can offer you a $2 lolly that will give you 5 minutes of peace in your drive on the way home, and it melts, but it's on a stick, that gives you a level of survival and quiet that is actually worth that $2. So that was kind of one of the things that we had noticed, like stuff on a stick sells. And then the level of service in a city like Calgary, like there's so many people here and everyone has these like, super specialized jobs. But then, when it comes to service, you can scream in a Home Depot, for help, but there's no one there to hear you. It's like being in a forest, right? But, at the Chocolate Lab, there's a level of service that happens. There's lots of questions, but we're here for that. And so it's really about, not only just service, but it's chocolate education. Everyone asks us how are these so shiny? Everyone has questions, right? And so Simon, who we talked about the other day, I invited him for a tour, during Easter weekend, like pop in, bring your girls. And, then we came out and there were all these other families with 3 daughters. I'm like, oh my gosh, because my family's the opposite. It's all boys. And when you offer someone an experience and you show them that you're human, they realize that you're just not some corporate entity that's just, you're walking down the yellow brick road and you're going to meet the wizard, but it's just some guy behind a curtain. Well, I'm the guy behind the curtain, but I'm in front of the curtain. And I'm not scared to tell you that I'm a guy behind the curtain.
No, and your chocolates are so freaking nice. Like the look of them. I mean, and they said when you say shine, I mean you can't give away your trade secrets and things along those lines. But is it just both? Is it both you and Dallas that come up with these ideas? Like, because when you open that box, I mean, if anybody's walking down Stephen Avenue, it's in the old Alberta Block Building, down from the Palace, and like just pop in there and look at. I mean, it's just they're just gorgeous. How do you come up with those ideas?
Well, I mean, like Dallas is a creative. Before I was an engineer, I was a makeup artist. So, like,
Oh.
things have to be catchy and worth talking about, right?
Yeah.
When my girlfriends and I are talking about specific lipstick, it's a 1 hour diatribe, right? So, here's an old box. I keep these here because often I'm having conversations with folks. I mean, you can't see the shine here, but these bonbons are 2 years old. I'm not eating them in front of anyone, but like they're here just to show an example of what they look like.
Oh.
But when you execute at a really high level, everything's shiny. When you have outtakes, like someone didn't temper properly, they're new, the artwork isn't up to snuff, they don't come out at all. You have scratch and dents, cracks, like you can't even put them out of the showcase because you can't get them out of the molds. So the reality is like it's a lot of skilled labor. And so we're getting to the place where, automated machinery is kind of like the next piece. But what you can't replace are the people that do the artwork and the chocolates. So it's really important that you, even though you have AI and all this automation coming, that you're finding places where you can fit people, and that, if you have the culture that's correct and, kind and generous, people will generally stay because they're doing what they love to do for a little section of time.
Oh, I think that's cool. And I mean, I know it's so eye catching. It's done. I know you hit up a lot of you're selling to higher end hotels and things along those lines. So I mean, obviously when and it's not a high end price either. I mean, when I walked in there and bought some, and I almost pulled a rookie mistake here. I didn't go downtown and buy any so I could have some and actually be eating them while we're talking. Oh, yeah.
I should have sent you some, in all honesty. That was a rookie mistake on my part.
It's just like, I'm going to be downtown today, so I'm going to go get some.
Well, I mean, if we were in any other city, we could charge more. But here we are in Calgary. It's like, this poor city has taken a beating, and the reality is that we want to make it as affordable as we can for everyone. There's something like, there's no doubt about it. Like chocolate is spendy, and luxury chocolate is even spendier. But if you get $5 or $6 that you're spending at Starbucks, you can get a signature hot chocolate at the Chocolate Lab. You've got something on a stick that you can buy for under $5.
And I think what the last meeting that when we were sitting outside there at at the DeVille, I think we were just having one of your hot chocolates. I couldn't believe how many people were coming in and buying the hot chocolate. I know it was Hot Chocolate Week, I believe that you pointed it out, but God, we must have watched 30 people walk in to buy hot chocolate.
Yeah, like I mean, and it's like, it's not just, a hot chocolate experience. We're not using, carnation, not to diss carnation, because that is my childhood in a cup, right?
It's all of our childhood.
But, like having chocolate fountains running and having the smell going and seeing, someone use a pedal to, dose your cup and, froth it and do all the things and have that delicious experience. It's something very European. You don't get that a lot of places. And so for us, it was really about delivering something that was just, what's in it. It's milk, it's chocolate, it's, whipped cream and some sprinkles. Life is good, right? If you don't eat sprinkles, life is okay.
When is it? I mean, I'm always smiling when I have a chocolate in my mouth. Like it just makes me happy. Always.
As I'm getting older, it's less and less chocolate in my mouth because my hips get wider and wider. But the reality is that there's times and places for chocolate, and now it's just kind of nice to raise a family with it, and they have a real respect and understanding for food, let alone chocolate, right? Because they realize what goes into the final product.
Oh, absolutely. So as we grow here, and as you take the Chocolate Lab kind of to the next level, and again, for anybody that has any wants any more information, go to their website. It's the Chocolate Lab or chocolatelab.ca. It's in the comment section. Just click on it. What's next for you, and what's your vision for, let's say, the next year, maybe a little bit of short term and maybe long term, like 5 years?
Well, in the short term, it's really that automation piece that I'm talking about, and just ensuring that we have the skilled labor that we have, because cooking's a big book, pastry's a small chapter inside the book of cooking. Chocolate is a really small chapter in pastry, but that's our whole book. So the commitment to that, when people are coming out of school and they're a pastry chef, they're not a chocolatier or a chocolate maker or any of those things. We're probably actually going to be investing specifically in certain ingredient sourcing. As you may or may not have heard through, the news, there's a lot of issues with chocolate recalls with undeclared dairy, as well as the fact that prices of chocolate are just skyrocketing right now based on the West Africa availability of their bean crop. And it's affecting large corporations. But, as a small operator, the reality is we've been paying a premium all along, but that doesn't not affect us. And so, keeping an eye on, all that type of stuff, that's a big stress right now. That's outside of my control, but it's just something that has to be handled. 5+ years, I have this, dream of having this chocolate experience center, right? Where, you have this really cool experience up front where people could sit down and, have chocolate desserts or fondue or have a hot chocolate. But in the meantime, there's all these different kind of experiences that you can have, say, bunch of guys come in and they want to have a bachelor party and they're having cigars in, a really well ventilated room with scotch and chocolate, or, a women's event where, you're having a hen night and, you're rocking things out, but it's all beautifully lit and you're eating chocolate, you're having a good time, you're posting your stuff on social media because it's something we're sharing. It's something cool, a place for kids to do all their thing and make a big mess. And we just squeegee everything out and make it go away. Right. All the while processing a lot of chocolate to distribute internationally. So those are the things that are on my radar for, our scale. It's just a matter of getting all the pieces in order and knocking down the lead domino and just seeing what happens. But as you know, there's a lot of work that gets into that before, you start pushing around the dominoes.
Oh, there sure is. But I mean, again, I love the vision. I love the chocolate experience. It's something that's just not out there, right? I mean, I've never been to a chocolate experience anywhere, other than, eating it and really, really enjoying it. I would love to see the behind the scenes or whatever it is, right?
I think the hardest part for us, in our current place, is the fact that, we could be here for a really long time, but it's not coded for that retail and that experience kind of thing for folks. It's where we are geographically. So now it's we're hunting and for all these different things within the commercial real estate world. But when we moved into the space, it was the very beginning of COVID. And so now commercial real estate is kind of, it's tight right now. So we don't really know what's available to us, in certainty. And then we don't also know, if we decide to build something, what would that entail? How is this going to go down? Where's the best ideal space? So these are the things that we're just trying to figure out now.
Oh, and lots of things to figure out as you move forward.
Always, right? And something's always on fire, right? It's that can wait till morning.
Exactly. Well, I'm always sad when our conversations are coming to an end, but I do have one more question for you, and I'm excited to hear your answer. So, Eva, if you had one piece of advice for a startup entrepreneur, what would that be?
Learn not to control anything and just let go. Just enjoy the ride, stop white knuckling it and just enjoy the wind on your face. Because I think I was white knuckling it for the first 3 years and spending all sorts of nervous, anxious energy on nothing. It was not productive. It was not useful. And it made everyone else around me not want to be around me. So figure out who you are and just learn to oh, you know what? That's outside of my control. I'll worry about it tomorrow. It's cool.
I love it. And that's so true, right? A lot of people just don't enjoy the ride. Sometimes you just have to, just sit back during the day and just realize that, I'm living something that I want to do, whether, it's my dream. It's something it's my passion. I wanted to do this my whole life. And some people forget about that and, get caught up in the reality. And I got to scroll. I got to be $1 billion company. No, you don't, just make something that makes you happy, gives you a life, hopefully that you and your family can enjoy and be happy.
Right. And waking up with I'm happy today. I'm excited because I get to show up for myself and the people in my charge. Like, what a difference that mindset makes. Because then you're charged, you're ready to rock. Before there were times where, I'm slowly peeling myself out of bed going like, what the heck am I doing this for? So, definitely, ensuring that your lens is clear and that you are definitely marching forward in the direction that you had envisioned.
Oh, great advice. And again, thank you, Eva, for coming on here. Thank you for supplying the chocolate that we all enjoy and putting that smile on our face at, whenever we sit down and have a bite and taste it. So I really appreciate that. Again, if anybody is out there that needs some help, you can sign up for the Osler Peer Guidance office hours every Tuesday from 10 to 1. It's scrolling across the bottom. It's in the comments section. Startup TNT Summit applications are closing. Again, head to the Chocolate Lab website. You can, do some online ordering there. It's in the comments section. And again, thank you, Eva, for bringing joy to us and coming on and sharing your story and keep on being awesome.
Thank you for hosting me today and having a great conversation. It's always great to see you. It's always great to chat.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll probably see you today when I'm actually downtown, if not tomorrow, buying chocolate.
All right. Look forward to seeing your face.
Well, I hope everybody enjoys their Wednesday and we will chat soon. Take care. Bye-bye.